I feel like if you're having a woman a bad time on a date and you can afford it, pay her half and leave.
I've done this.
We've discussed this.
Dear Shandy. Welcome back to Dear Shandy, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
How are you today?
Doing good.
Doing good.
Yeah.
It's a part 2, our first ever, can I just say, part 2.
This is our first ever by popular demand.
Yes. Matchmaker Maria was such a hit last time we had her on that everyone was like, part 2, part 2. Yeah. And we were like, okay, how can we say no? We can't turn our Shandies down. Okay, so a refresher in case anyone is new. Matchmaker Maria Avgetidis is a 4th-generation matchmaker, the founder of Agape Match, the nationally acclaimed matchmaking service with a 93% success rate that has won Best Matchmaking Agency by the U.S. Dating Awards and Best Matchmaking Service by Time Out. She is the host of the Ask A Matchmaker podcast and can be found on Instagram at Matchmaker Maria and on TikTok at Real Matchmaker Maria, presumably because there's a non-real Matchmaker Maria.
Someone grabbed you?
Somebody grabbed it.
Oh, yeah. People have a lot of time on their hands.
They're not even using it.
I feel that.
I even reached out to them back in 2019. I was like, hey, I'll give you money. No.
Our first episode with Maria was such a hit that we brought her back for part 2. Maria Avgetidis, thank you so much for joining us again.
Yeah,
Charlene, we need a round of applause, like voice thing. Round of applause,
I agree.
because the last name there, you're doing great.
Oh, just the last name. Oh, that too.
Well, that was a really good intro too. I might steal it from you.
You might be amused then to know that I literally wrote it out.
We were just talking about it.
Oh my God, that's great. I love that.
I did not want to mess it up. Okay, so Maria, last time we had you on, the conversation was predominantly about the business side of matchmaking. And that ended up being, quite a hit, really. People were really curious. And today we have some more questions in that department, but we wanted to try to do a sort of 50-50 where it was the remaining questions, either the follow-ups or the ones we didn't get to last year. And then, real life advice, dating, all the things. Everyone knows you give fantastic advice. And so, we've got some cues for you today. Sound good?
That sounds amazing.
Okay, awesome. So the number 1 follow-up question after part 1, and by the way, I'm going to link part 1 in the description in case you missed it. I think that they will go together, so highly recommend watching or listening to that first. Number 1 follow-up question. How do you define your 93% success rate?
Oh, that's a great question. I define it as if someone's in a relationship for more than 6 months through us, but also that's how I define it. But we also have an additional definition of that, which is we ask clients when they become clients, especially like our men, our matchmaking client men, how do you define success? And you'd be surprised that a lot of people do not define being in a long-term relationship as success. For some people, they haven't gone on a date in 6 months. So the idea of going on like 3 first dates each month is a win. The opportunity to meet 10 people over the coming months that are, not only their ideal list, but also they belong to that person's ideal list. So now it's just a matter of chemistry, which I have no control over. And I'm not saying that everyone operates in like wish list matchmaking, and I'm certainly not operating here like what's it called? A Zillow filter, find your perfect house.
A Zestimate.
That's not certainly what we're doing here, but we try to let some clients like, when it makes sense, say like, so you want this, let me see how many people we have in this like woo-woo thing that you've just done. And if we have enough, then we can do that. Otherwise, we could try it your way and then we'll try it my way. And my way will probably get you in a relationship a lot quicker. But to go back to success, you'd be surprised. Like I would say half of our clients don't define a long-term relationship as success. Just the opportunity to them is the success. And to add to that, I actually have, I don't know if I mentioned this in the first episode, but the clients that are single at the end, that like, let's say maybe at 6 months they just didn't enter a relationship that was long-term. without me even asking, like the majority of them do renew, because the idea of going back to swiping is just, nope, not for me. Like, I don't want to do that again. I want you to keep doing it. And, obviously if we can, we will. Otherwise, if we can't, we'll refer them to it. Sometimes you'll learn, like this just happened with one of our clients, over time we learned, I think we're exhausting all the matches based on your very specific search criteria. Let me send you to someone else I trust who might have, different women.
Mm-hmm. I actually find that answer quite uplifting, because I do feel like sometimes our society's definition of like a successful relationship is a little too cookie cutter and very limiting, which is to say like usually like marriage, like white picket fence, like the sort of like whole 9 yards, when actually I feel like I've been in several successful relationships where I learned what I wanted in my forever partner. That's you. And what I learned about myself.
I just received an email from a client that basically said that, like, he's almost at the end of his contract. We actually have a few more matches for him, but he said, I need a pause. I just had a come to Jesus moment on my date on Saturday. I could probably pull up the email, but it was essentially like, you guys did such a great job, but now I'm learning that what I've been looking for my whole life and what you've been helping me with was not the right thing. Cause now he can't even blame like, oh, there's no women. Like we set you up with everything you asked for. And those women too are looking for someone just like him.
Ooh.
So instead, when he finally had that in front of him and, he's like, but I'm still not attracted to this. So now I need to go do something, figure out like maybe with my therapist or whatever, because what I thought I wanted, maybe I don't want that.
Wow. That's big.
And all of the women, by the way, wanted to go on second dates with him. So it's not like he did something bad. It's just like, sometimes this is a learning curve. Dating is a learning curve. And, exactly what you said, Charlene, like it doesn't always have to be marriage. I also want to add that I hate it. I really hate, for me, like the worst part of my job is when you have a client. This happened recently. We had a client who they had not been in a relationship in 15 years, which happens, right? You're raising your kids. Mm-hmm. You have your own hobbies. You have a really supportive network of people around you where maybe that's just not happening, right? Companionship. And anyone we would show them, there was always like something off. Mm. And it gets to a point also where like, we're running out of people. And then when they would go on dates with us, they would do what I always say you shouldn't be doing on dates. You should never talk about your absolute no-no list on your dates, because you don't know that yet. So for instance, I set this person up with someone who was in a different city because they said that they're open to dating people in that different city. But then when they're on the date, they say stuff like, well, I would never move here. What are you doing? Oh. They come back to me at the end and they're like, just really upset, really disappointed. Like, just, I'm hearing the complaints. But at the same time, like, I'm not going to take it personally because, you dated on your own for 15 years. Mm. And no boyfriend, no girlfriend, like, whatever that person is, what am I going to do different? All I can do is give you opportunities.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like you might sometimes end up falling into a sort of, how should I put this? Sort of mother or a
older
role.
Sister.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with older sister, like, tough love, where you sort of have to, I kind of kick some butts in shape, I feel like, because like you said, a lot of people, they think they know what they're looking for and they don't actually. My follow-up question is, what is the most awkward conversation you have ever had to have with a client?
Oh my God. This actually happened pretty recently where I said, the people on your date are complaining about a smell. And I don't want to accuse them of anything, but I just need to know, like, and I didn't start off like that. I said something else. I said, do you wear cologne on your date?
Yeah.
And he said, yes. And I said, how did you choose that cologne? Because that's like how do most men choose their colognes?
Yeah. How do they?
I haven't worn cologne since Dracar Noir in the 90s. And I did not choose well.
I think when you purchase those sort of items, you have to consider your own chemistry and how they go with the scent that you're wearing.
Yeah.
And for this person, he was wearing the wrong cologne with his body. So as a result, it was creating a different scent 3 minutes after he put it on that, maybe smelled a little bit fishy.
It's lucky it's just that.
Fishy by obsession.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, it's less easy to fix than just switching up colognes.
I mean, listen, I was just glad that he said that he was wearing cologne, because then that's like, okay, well, let's try on your next date, don't wear that cologne. Let's see if we get the same feedback. We didn't get that same feedback.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, we're winning here. So then the next thing I told him was that there is a place in Brooklyn where you can make your own scent.
Okay.
And it's to your own body chemistry. And if you're going to wear cologne, you need to go there.
That's really valuable information to be told.
Imagine how many dates he's been on.
That's what I'm saying.
His whole
that's
adult life
huge.
without realizing.
Yeah. I feel like he got his money's worth right there.
Well, no one had the balls to tell him until you. He probably had friends who were like, this is really bad, but they didn't have the guts to tell him.
Yeah.
Which means they're not good friends. Or they're really good friends.
Or they're really good
tell.
friends.
I can never
don't know.
tell.
I've had friends where I'm like, I think the shampoo that they might be using might be a little too Dutch or something. Where
I feel like you're the friend that says something.
no,
No,
You're not.
no.
Oh,
I'll say
okay.
if you've got smudge, if you got a booger, if you're a fly, but the smell stuff, I'm just like, my friend comes with the smell.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. The breath one for me, I'm like, I want to be that person because I think it would make their life better, but I can't do it.
It's tough.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
So what are some behaviors or decisions your clients, and I'm talking paying clients, make that frustrate you?
The most frustrating thing is when they may have dated on a different kind of website before hiring us. So they think that they're entitled to the same behavior. And I'm going to be really specific here. If a guy, because you asked about guys, used a website like Seeking Arrangement before hiring us, you are going to get two very different experiences.
Wow.
Right? Because I'm not paying any person to go on a date with you. I'm trying to set you up in a long-term committed relationship with someone you might have kids with. Seeking Arrangement or in websites like that, you get to pick who you want to go on a date with. You get to offer up some sort of transactional reward, excuse me. And you get to have that experience. And that person, they probably might not, maybe they would date you in real life, but maybe they wouldn't, but they know that there's like, I get $500 today, so it'll be cool. It's fine. I can do this for $500. So for instance, like and it's not as innocuous as you think. Like for instance, I was told by one person how they use Seeking Arrangement. He wanted to go to a music festival and he didn't want to go alone. So he went on to Seeking Arrangement and he found a person that he was attracted to that he could pay $500 plus a business class ticket plus her own hotel room to go down to this music festival for 2 days. So she got paid $500 per day plus room plus business class ticket to go to this. And, I remember him telling me, like, I was like, how did you choose who it was? He goes, well, I wanted the one with the biggest boobs. And I was like, okay, got it. Now, fast forward. Now, if that person hired me as a matchmaker, they might think like, I want to date her. And I'm like, great. She's going to be judging you on other criteria now, though.
Yeah. You're not paying her.
You're not paying her. And so we don't know this ahead of time. And maybe that's something we should be asking men. Now that I'm thinking about like, maybe why aren't we asking men like, hey, did you use websites like this? I don't think that any of them would say the truth. But what I'm saying is that there is a moment sometimes in the beginning of the contract with some clients where they're like, the women you're showing me, I could have met her on Hinge. I want like really hot women. And this is really rare. This happens maybe like once or twice a year to us. And I'm like, why think you? Because I'm not talking about someone who's like I was like, have you, like, I remember one time I had a client who, he was married for 25 years. He's brand new back into the dating world. So it's a very different dating environment from, 1990. And, he's just like, you don't understand. I'm successful. I could have any woman, da, 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 da. And I'm like, cool, go get them. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you, but
why are you talking to me if that's the case?
Right. Like, if you can do better than me, then go do it better than me. But and I'm not even showing him like someone that I don't think is a match for him. But there's like a whole package, right? And it's like somehow he thinks this is like he gets to choose. And I'm like, no, you can choose. But I can't speak for another matchmaking service. I can only speak for mine. In our service, the women cross choose. You have to also opt in to the date with this person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not just setting up people like, you're going to go out with him. Like, hey, I have a guy. Here's what he's like. Are you game? Yeah, great.
Yeah, I could see a lot of male personality types thinking because they're paying this much money to you, by proxy, they're kind of paying that money to their prospective dates.
Oh God, I hope they don't think that. I've never thought that. Do you think that's happening?
I do think.
I think spending money on anything brings a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's quite as literal as that, but it is interesting to think about.
I'm certain that some men have thought that.
Yeah.
If they haven't said it to you or complained to you about it, I'm sure that
I've
some
never
have thought
had
that.
anyone complain to me about that. Maybe when it was a lower price point, I guess I used to get like really weird money complaints, which is why we had to increase our prices, because I was like, you're reacting really weird to this. Like, oh, wasted $800 on this. And I'm like,
oh, interesting.
Like I spent a lot of hours on this. Like, because you're paying for my time.
Yeah.
Right.
So interesting. Well, that brings us to money, because we got huge reactions and a 1-star review.
No,
Do you remember this?
I do.
Over your fees. Like,
why would someone give you a 1-star review over my fee?
That's a great question.
But it's so interesting that there were such big reactions when, from my perspective, this is something that like there's a team of people putting a lot of time into, right? With their expertise. And I think it's subjective whether or not you think that's worthwhile. And obviously, if you make a lot of money, then I don't know, $50,000 is not going to mean as much to you as it does to someone else. So what would you tell those people who think that the price tag is too high?
Fast, fast, fast is the speed that your trees will grow with fast growing trees.
Who doesn't want fast? Fast is what everyone wants. Everyone has no patience anymore.
Yeah, you want results.
Yes.
No one wants results in years. They want results in hours.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, I've seen my cherry tree grow in hours. I check it. I go in the morning and I go in the evening. I'm like, it's bigger.
I mean, those buds. We said before.
These buds.
The buds on the cherry tree, they are on the verge.
It's pornographic. Is it not?
I mean, I cannot imagine a website you want to spend time on more than fast growing trees.
Fast growing trees is good for the novice and it's good for the expert.
Yes.
The novice is taught what trees it needs to buy to grow in their zone.
Yes.
And the expert is like, why would I go anywhere else to get trees?
Obviously.
These are the best quality trees.
Yes.
Or bushes or plants or flowers or anything.
Yes. Yes. Because Fast Growing Trees is the largest online nursery in the US. They have over 2 million happy customers. And then when you look for your plant of choice, and they again have everything from palm trees to fruit trees to house plants, they then help you select what would actually work for you where you live, because you enter your zip code and then they're like, so while you might want a palm tree, this might work better for you because it will actually survive in your climate. Isn't that so nice? So you're not wasting money and wasting time. Think about how many hours you could spend tending to a plant that's never going to survive where you live.
Do you know how many times I've gone over to a friend's house who's like, they're just starting gardening.
Yeah.
Maybe they got an apartment with a little deck.
Yeah.
Or they have a little outdoor patio.
Or they have a sunroof thing. Yeah.
And they're like, Andy, come over here. Because I'm like the plant guy now.
Yeah. This does happen.
Yeah.
Andy goes to friends' places and they ask his advice on plants.
So I come over and I look at these and they're all half dead. And I'm like, why are you growing that plant? Go to Fast Growing Trees. Don't make me tell you what to do. I have other things to do in my life.
Oh, no, you enjoy
No,
it.
I do, but there's a lot of people who have needs.
You can't be everywhere all at once.
I'm not Santa Claus.
Plus, they have an Alive and Thrive guarantee and ship to your door in 1 to 2 days. Oh, finally, free plant consultation forever.
So this spring, Fast Growing Trees has the best deals online.
Up to half off select plants and other deals.
And our Shandies get an additional 15% off their first purchase when using code Shandy at checkout.
That's an additional 15% off the sale price at fastgrowingtrees.com using promo code Shandy.
Fastgrowingtrees.com, code Shandy.
Offer is available for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply.
AG1 is gonna make your day bright. AG1 Don't put up a fight.
I still love that one.
It's good.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and it's true. Stop putting up a fight. This is going to be the best thing you can do in the morning.
AG1 is our comprehensive daily nutrition. And if you think we're just saying this, that we take this every single morning, I mean, why are you listening to this podcast? You should trust us by now. Seriously. We swear by this stuff every single morning. Even when I'm tempted by other foods in the house, I'm like, no. I have not yet made my AG1. I would like to have it first thing because they do recommend that you drink AG1 on an empty stomach so that your body can best absorb all the nutrients. And those nutrients include vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, pre and probiotics, also a bunch of other goodies in there. I am not exaggerating when I say I feel a difference immediately. I feel more regular. Can I say that? Is that TMI?
Can you say that? I mean, that's one of the big selling points.
Do you know that they're on the 52nd iteration of their formula? So that means that they're not just resting on their laurels. They're constantly formulating to make it as effective as possible. And I mean, I hand over the reins. I'm like, I trust you because I feel a difference.
I'm never going to stop taking this.
I mean, you guys know by now, we literally travel with it. When we were in Australia, we brought travel packs we were gone for what? 3 weeks, yeah. We literally brought 42 travel packs exactly for this trip.
And when we were in Seattle for a month and a half, we had it delivered there.
Yes.
So if you want to replace your multivitamin and more, start with AG1.
Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, plus 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first subscription when you go to drinkag1.com/DearShandy.
That's drinkag1.com/DearShandy.
What would you tell those people who think that the price tag is too high?
It's not for you. Okay, I'll give you a more practical example, okay? Because, Copy Match's prices can range from $25,000 to $50,000 depending on the program, but we do have more affordable programs less than $25,000. And if someone wants to have that conversation with us, we're game, right? Like the consultation our consults are $50. We do have like call volume, so we've had to put a $50, phone consult now. I can give you a real life example that happened over this weekend. One of my parents' best friends at church was like, Maria, I have to introduce you to this person. He wants to get married. I told him all about you, all that stuff. And I was like, great. Now I've done the free friend thing in the past. It doesn't work. It just does not work when you're a professional matchmaker and you're trying to help out a friend or a friend of a friend for free because they don't take it seriously. They think this is your hobby. They don't understand that, I have a staff of 6 and or 7 rather, and we have team meetings twice a week and we're going to discuss you and we're going to be meeting people on your behalf. And we want you to be in a relationship in the next 6 months. We are really serious about our success rate being high. And so anyway, so this person who, when you hear that price and you've never Googled matchmaking or spoken to a matchmaker, it's a sticker shock. It's like, who the hell would pay the equivalent of an Audi to a human being to find another human being? I completely understand the hesitation. And when you're coming into it blindly, or when you're coming into a place where you're already in a healthy relationship or in a fun relationship or just in a relationship, it's really hard to understand what the current dating environment looks like, navigating that stuff, and also time and what your criteria is and, the investment of what this is. So that's okay. But I'll tell you, so this weekend I met someone, like I said, and, he said, I didn't want to waste time. I have other things to do on a Sunday after church. I just went straight into it. I was like, I'm a matchmaker. I'm Greek. So I was like, do you want the person that do you want to get married? And he's like, he's 43 years old. He tells me, and I was like, I want to get married. I'm like, great. Do they have to be Greek? And he's like, well, that would be ideal. Okay. Do you want to have kids? I'm a maybe. You're 43. I just called it out. You're 43 years old. What do you mean you're a maybe? He's like, well, it's up to her. And I go, no. I asked you, because if it's up to her, then you can date up to 50. Do you get what I'm saying? I need now, give me the ideal. So my brain is a database. So I was like, okay, you want Greek women in New Jersey. What do we want to have kids? That would be great. Great. So now I'm thinking about I have a ton of women and I'm like, usually we start at 25,000. I'm going to give you the friend price because, I'm going to be seeing your face probably multiple times a week because we go to the same community now. And his reaction to the friend price was like, well, that's really steep. And I just called him out. I was like, you're 43 years old and you're an engineer at this really big company. I know how much money you make. You have never paid for daycare in your 30s. You probably bought a house before the pandemic and you probably lowered your interest rate during 2021. Like, I know how much money you make, right?
How important is this
I know
to you?
that you have a couple years left in the dating pool of dating your ideal before I'm like, dude, this is 50,000 because it's going to cost me a lot more time to vet people who are open to dating people after a certain age to have kids with.
Oh, I love your candor, Maria. I missed this.
But you know what? I think all good matchmakers talk like me, right? When I think about the colleagues that I trust the most, they're the ones that hold up a mirror and are like, look, you're 43. If you met the right person tomorrow, maybe you're engaged by 44. Maybe you get married by 44 and a half. If you are able to get pregnant right away, you'll be a dad at 45 and a half. And that's if I introduce you to the right person tomorrow. So anyway, he's like all sticker shocked. And I kind of called it out. This is like such a weird competition to have, like literally after church. And he's like, I said to him, but listen, you're not going to make a decision right now. You don't know anything about me. You just met me blindly. You just probably learned that someone has a job called matchmaking, that this is someone's full-time job, and that I have a staff that like these are full-time employees, right? They have families to take care of too. They're breadwinners. So I said, why don't you go home, Google me, Google other companies, learn about this world. Then, and while you do that, while you're thinking about it, why don't you give me and then I asked them, how are you dating women right now? He's like, Hinge, give me your Hinge profile. So I open up his Hinge profile and I just start giving him like a free review. Change this, do this. I start fixing things. He had a photo of himself next to two people that were in blackface. But it wasn't American blackface. There's a difference. I think the Dutch have some Christmas parade every year or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about
this. Yeah, I do.
And they're wearing the costumes. And I go,
about.
I know that this isn't like blackface, like in the American context. This is like a European thing. But Americans look at this and they're like, you're standing next to two people wearing blackface.
God.
So you need to remove this off your profile. He was also in a photo with his like nephew. And I'm like, this isn't your kid. Take it out. And I'm changing his prompts. And then I just open up his messages. And tell me why every other woman looks Asian. And I'm like, I thought you said you wanted to date Greek. Why is every other woman Asian?
God.
Why are you even dealing with this guy at this point?
Well, he's in front of me. And I think someone at 43 years old needs to be called out. Like, dude, don't even act like I'm steep. Right. Like I'm literally your only option right now at meeting the whatever thing you have and for the next 3 years you have planned.
Oh, Maria,
right.
You're very
so,
funny.
listen, matchmaking is not for everyone, but it is for some people. And that guy is my ideal client. Right.
Okay.
So to me, it's kind of like, if you feel like you're pressed for time, if you feel like you invested, if you're tired of apps, there are people that want to hire a matchmaker. I'd be more than happy to have that conversation with them to see if this is the right fit. And listen, if your budget is $10,000, then let me refer you to someone that I trust. I think that being successful enough where you could hire a matchmaker or even a personal trainer or a personal chef or whatever this personal services are, there is a certain amount that you take away. And, swiping and dating culture is the way that it is. But there's also people that feel like they have no opportunities. So for instance, like I'll give you a really good example. I have a client right now that I'm recruiting for. He's Egyptian. He's Muslim. He lives in DC. He's really interested in meeting other Muslim women that live in DC who are intellectually his equal. And which there's more than enough women, but because of his job, because he's discreet, because he works, in the positions that he's in, he can't just be swiping away and dating away. Like he wants high touch, and that's what we're providing.
So you touched on swipe culture, and it's been a little over a year since we last recorded with you. How would you say swipe culture has affected the matchmaking world? You touched a bit on how online dating, you think, if anything, kind of helped your business because people had sort of like online dating fatigue, I'm wondering if how quickly you're seeing a difference. Like, just give us your finger on the pulse opinion on swipe culture and how it relates to professional matchmaking.
It doesn't have to be professional matchmaking. Swipe culture is actually affecting other industries now too. So like right now you're seeing a resurgence of events increasing something like 230% in the last year. Like for mixers and like game nights, like trivia nights, mocktail or cocktail making classes, candle making classes. So if you go to Eventbrite has surged in popularity this past year. It's an app that's always existed, but because we're literally have entered our roaring 20s era, right? Because even 100 years ago, they had a pandemic, and then the roaring 20s kicked off when people were out. And we're seeing that now. You see a 200% increase in group travel. You see a 232% increase in events in the event space, according to Eventbrite. So you do see like people want to go out. They don't want to swipe. So
That's
it's like,
kind of feel good, isn't it?
What?
That makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's amazing. But also think about like what they're asking for, right? They're thirsty for third spaces. So
Yes.
I think like what's happened is people are experiencing extreme loneliness, A. B, we are in a post-Me Too era. So in one of the biggest complaints I hear from single women is like, men don't come out up to me anymore. Those same women also complain about this creep came up to me, right? So what's happening is men are going on to Eventbrite to go to events where the social design is centered around some interest. And it doesn't have to be a singles mixer, right? It could literally be, we're going to go do a sound bath and then go for beers. Like that's an actual event on Eventbrite, right? I don't know when it's happening, but I saw that. And what I'm saying is that because you're there for a focal point, it could be a book lecture. It could be a glass making class, right? The event provides the social design for people to interact with each other. And then you can exchange numbers versus you being at the bar with your girlfriends and some guy comes up to you and is like, what's your Instagram?
Okay. I mean, I find that very uplifting.
Yeah.
And especially you said in the last year, you've really seen an increase. I mean, my goodness.
That's kind of cool. I guess we are in the 20s.
I've been wanting to try a pottery class.
Yeah. Pottery.
Oh,
and drumming.
You should totally check it out. I use Eventbrite even for my own dates, like with my husband. Like I find date idea because come on, I already do dinner with him every night. Like we're good.
Maria,
Yeah.
that's cute. That's cute that you plan dates like that to that extent. That's really cute. After how many years of marriage?
What year are we in? We're going to be 9 years this year. Like our courthouse wedding is 9 years and our Greek wedding is 8 years.
Oh, wow.
my God.
It's exactly the same as us.
Yeah, our courthouse is January 2015.
Ours was December 2015.
Oh,
and then
wow.
our Greek wedding, our big fat Greek wedding in Greece was July 2016.
Okay. We did. Okay.
Yeah.
That's weird,
We were
actually. Ours was September 2017,
Yeah.
but minus
Okay.
the big fat Greek.
It wasn't that fat or Greek.
I mean, I did it twice because I was too lazy to like want to translate the bureaucracy of the papers. So if it's a US form, I put the US wedding date. But if I'm in Greece and they're asking for a wedding date, I put the Greek wedding.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
It just depends on like who's asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both count.
I have two legal documents.
Yeah.
They both count, you know?
Yeah.
So
That's
That's a
funny.
good point.
Okay, well, speaking of your lovely marriage, we're going to move over. That was a really weak segue, but I'm making it work. We're going to move over to the world of relationships and dating. You are renowned for your, I think, tough love dating advice. And yeah, I want to start at something that I think you probably get asked about a lot. And Shandy is actually one of our listeners, was the one who asked this question because they said you talk about the 12 date rule a lot. So for anyone who is not familiar with you and your platforms, define the 12 date rule.
Okay, so 12 date rule method is a philosophy that I have. If you want to date with the intention of getting to know someone without the distraction of sex. This is not purity culture. I'm also the same person who coined the hoe phase back in 2021 on another podcast, and that spread like wildfire, which is hoe phase is when you date people with the intention of just going on the date. You don't have to like be married to like the outcome of what like every person has to be your boyfriend. No one has to be your boyfriend. You can just go on dates and have a good time. But the 12 date rule is basically recentering emotional compatibility over physical compatibility. So what happens for a lot of people when they go on dates, maybe on the first, second, or third date, they will have physical intimacy. And for a lot of people, it's penetrative sex, depending, of course, on, sexuality and all that stuff. And that's fine. If you want to do that, I don't care. I could give a shit. More power to you. That's great. But what happens when you do that is that you will get, especially women will get a heavy dose of oxytocin, and that creates blinders. For women, especially, your body, even if you don't want kids, your body really wants you to reproduce, and it's a failsafe. It's like, okay, we're going to put the blinders on so that you don't see any of the negative things from the person that you could be mating with, because I really want you to mate. So what happens is you get rose-colored glasses. Well, when you're wearing rose-colored glasses, the pink flags are invisible. The red flags are really hard to see. And when I say pink flags, I say stuff like, not necessarily like, oh, they're rude to the waiter, more like, oh, he hasn't seen any of his friends in 3 months. Or he'll say stuff like, well, let's just like see where this goes. I don't really like putting titles. These are pink flags. These are telling you, hey, this person might not be interested in finding an emotional connection with you. So those are really hard to see. Those are invisible. You're just like, oh yeah, of course. I mean, duh, we just went on a second date. We don't need titles yet. You're thinking it, but it's not happening. Yeah. So it recenters it to emotional compatibility. And what I tell people is, like, in those 12 interactions, what I want you to do is focus on 4 things. What are they like when they're having a good day? What are they like when they're having a bad day? How do they treat you when you're having a bad day? And this is the most important one. How do they treat you when you're having a good day? Because let me tell you, how many women will tell me like that they got completely shot on by someone that they were dating because they got a promotion, or because they were about to go to brunch with their girlfriends. And it's like, I'm going to pick a fight 5 minutes before you go out the door so you can text me the whole time. There's a lot of people there who want to like take your space, your mental space.
Yeah.
And that's what it kind of does. Like and I just want to put a little asterisk here. When I say 12 dates, that's not your date math. There's Matchmaker Maria math. So what I believe a date is a date is a voice call, a video call, or an in-person interaction that is a minimum of 20 minutes and a maximum of 3 hours. You can have up to 2 dates in one day, and 3 of the 12 dates have to be in person. So if you just met someone, it will take about 2.5 to 3 weeks to get to 12 dates. But it also makes it getting to know someone intentional, right? Think about the last time you had a phone call with someone that was more than 20 minutes. Probably a really long time ago. It was probably your best friend or your mom, right? And if you're trying to discover if this person could be the future parent of your child, maybe you don't get scared of saying like, hey, I'd like to get off texting. Can we hop on a FaceTime? I mean, first of all, if they're juggling multiple girlfriends, they're not getting on FaceTime with you. Yeah. Right? And I just want to add another thing here, that texting doesn't account for anything. A lot of people, texting is dating, and it's not dating. There are people who will text someone all day for 4 days that they met off the internet, memes, secrets, stuff like that. And then, they meet and they're like, wow, you did not meet my expectations, or they'll never meet. They've become pen pals. So texting isn't dating. I really just want people to intentionally get to know someone. And just 2 more things. 1, you're not meant to get to 12 dates with everyone. You're only going to get to 12 dates with an incredibly small group of people. One of those group of people is going to be your future spouse. Number 2, if you end up having sex on 8 dates, it's okay. Rules are meant to be broken.
And does this apply to men as well?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And let me tell you something. The men they're the ones that are the most gung ho. It's like, okay, let's go. Like, I can't believe
challenge.
It. It's a challenge, because you know what? They also realize like, oh no, we're not, I'm good. And I think it's really interesting to see how they discover how women treat them when they're having a good day.
I feel like that's a good rule of thumb, even for all of our relationships, not only romantic. You know, it's interesting when things are going well for you, you realize which friends suddenly aren't there for you in the same way as they were when you were really down.
100%.
Yeah.
Dude, that's literally my friendship mantra at this point. I can't stand it. I've gone through some really difficult times the last few years because I care for a disabled parent. I've been pretty public about it on my own social media, and it's been really difficult. And you know what? I have no shortage of people who want to message me about like, oh, I hope everything's okay with your mom and whatever. Mm-hmm. But, then I'll get like a big milestone will happen in my career. Like for instance, like I got a book deal with St. Martin's Press. And I'm really proud of that. A lot of those people who would reach out about my mom, nope. Yeah. Not even a message, not even a text, not even a congrats. And I'm like, but see, this is where I want you. I don't want you to message me about my mom.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you were talking about your book deal, and I don't know if you have imposter syndrome or you have any sort of self-loathing issues. Do you?
It's so funny you say that. I only just acquired them on Friday.
Oh,
it's been the craziest weekend of my life.
Wow.
I made the mistake of opening up someone else's dating book just to see, like, I made a vow to myself that I wouldn't open up a dating book this past year. But then I made the mistake of opening up someone's dating book because I just wanted to see how they tackled this one thing, like what transition they used.
Yeah.
And then I was like, God, I'm stupid. I don't know any, like I had to, it was awful. I've had a really weird weekend.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah. Welcome to the club.
But I was going to say, and this is a little off topic, but it's so much of a vicious cycle when you have imposter syndrome and you're self-loathing and you have a bunch of friends who come to you when you're in trouble, but not to celebrate your successes. And you just think that's normal. You're like, yeah, I'm not that good. I don't deserve praise.
Wow.
I'm glad they're there for me when I'm down. And it's just sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I've actually late in life, I've learned, because we both have pretty severe imposter syndrome.
Really?
Yeah.
Not so much self-loathing, more just hardcore imposter syndrome. But it's just recently that I'm suddenly like, oh, why am I not paying more attention to these friends who are constantly coming and giving me these huge, like 500 exclamation point, usually texts, let's face it, it's 2024. But they're telling me, wow, you did so great. That's amazing. Look at you. And I'm just sort of like, oh yeah, you're a periphery friend. I don't care. But that's the real friend.
Yes.
That is the real friend. And it's so funny you said that because I have never felt that before. I've heard about imposter syndrome and I experienced it 3 days ago for the first time in my life. And I was like, oh my God, I know what this is. I finally, because I've never had that feeling before. And I was just like, I was crying. Friday night was really tough. I was like, I'm not well, and it's so funny that you mentioned that, like the exclamation points. On Sunday, I got home from church and I called 3 friends who are my biggest fans. I'm fans of them too. I love them. But I was just like, they've never reached out to me about my mom. It's always been like, good for you. And I told them, I was like, hey, can I put you in my little book group where, if I don't understand, if I'm writing this correctly, can I just send it to you to just give it a glance over so you don't like, oh, Maria, you got it. Yeah, I don't expect this from you. I expect, you're going to kill it. Blah, blah. And I'm like, yes, this is, and yeah, no, you're absolutely right. This is exactly the way to do it. Surround yourself when you're feeling like shit. Surround yourself by yes people.
What a lovely tangent. Yes. I enjoyed that.
No, and
this
it's
is like
very
good
important.
life advice.
It really is. And I mean, your 12-date rule, what fantastic advice to see how people are on a good day versus a bad day. Because oftentimes in that first, the first couple of dates, they're bringing their best selves, their representatives.
As a matter of fact, I would say with you, sorry to keep on this topic, but I would say with you, you're not great when I'm down. She's not.
Really?
But you are so strong when I'm up.
Oh.
And it's so much more important.
I'm your hype woman for sure.
Yeah.
It's because I was raised by my mother's Chinese.
No, it's your mom. I respect that. But I'll be like, oh, I really feel like I'm really sick. And she's like, whatever, get over it.
I'm like, man up.
I'm sorry. Men have the dumbest pain tolerance I've ever witnessed. I don't feel bad for you. My husband, when I first met him, I was like, hey, let me pluck this one hair you have right here. I'm sick of seeing it. It was like about 6 months into our relationship. And I plucked it, and I'm not even kidding. I'm doing my cross here. Like, I swear he got on the ground in a fetal position and was like, just like,
that's too much.
And then like, it's like funny because like when I gave birth, I remember turning to him when I was in labor with my son. I turned to him at some point and I was like, you couldn't handle this. Like, fuck off.
We could not. This is
no, true. There's like, and like, I hate it when they say stuff like, oh, he's a pussy. I'm like, if you wish.
It makes me lightheaded, the thought of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Not the pulling the hair out, the giving birth.
So Andy, I think we can all agree there are not many ways to be bad and be good at the same time.
Unless you want to pay for it in the end.
Yeah. Usually there's some consequence on the other end, because being bad, let's think of the ways we could be bad. Maybe you would be bad by having too much dessert. Or maybe having hot cocoa right before bed. You're like,
oh, come on. Who would do that?
I mean,
a monster.
A monster. Unless we're talking Beam Dream Powder.
You can be a bad with Beam.
Because Beam Dream Powder is healthy hot cocoa with no added sugar for sleep. It literally helps you sleep. I have loved this stuff. They have different flavors, and so you always keep it new. And their ingredients include melatonin, nano CBD, reishi, L-theanine, and magnesium, and it supports the 4 stages of sleep.
Which are onset, transition, deep sleep, and everyone's favorite, REM.
REM, yes. REM, where things happen.
That's me in the corner.
And let's be honest, anyone who has ever tried a sleep aid knows that sometimes there's a consequence on the other end. Sometimes the next day, sure, you slept, but you wake up feeling groggy.
Yeah, foggy.
That does not happen with Beam Dream Powder. It's just a treat. Like, I look forward, I've said before that I cannot use any of my sleep remedies every single night. I have to keep my body guessing, but I always look forward to the night where I use Beam Dream Powder.
And we all like numbers, right?
Some of us.
Well, do you like being lied to?
No.
Okay. Well, then in a clinical study, 93% of participants reported that Dream helped them get better sleep.
So if you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, you can get up to 40% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Shandy and enter promo code Shandy at checkout.
That's shopbeam.com/Shandy and use code Shandy for up to 40% off. JENNIKAYNE, JENNIKAYNE, JENNIKAYNE. There is no sweater better than this Jenny Kane.
You're right, Andy. There is no sweater better than Jenny Kane. We're both wearing our Jenny Kane sweaters. And I think it is a testament to Jenny Kane's versatility that I am somehow wearing my Jenny Kane oatmeal colored cashmere cardigan with this outfit. I honestly, when I threw it on, I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. And it did. Every time I wear one of my Jenny Kane sweaters, you guys know by now that I have this in 3 colors, the oatmeal, I have the ivory, and I have the black. It's not even funny how with everything they go. It's at the point where I have to hold back on wearing it because I'm like, oh, I wore that the last 3 times I saw my friends.
You know what your Jenny Kane sweater is? It's that friend you can bring to any occasion.
Yes.
Family, party. He's like, hey, can I join? You're like, you know what? You can, because it's going to be fine.
Yes. And you could wear this to brunch. You could wear it to dinner. You could wear it. You could bring it along to a wedding if it got cold later at night. But you could also wear it to a picnic. Timeless, elegant. They understand the art of simplicity.
You can wear this sweater to walk the dog or to meet the queen. Or now the king, I guess.
Also, you never even realize you're wearing it because it's so feather light.
Feather light, but toasty warm.
That's a peeve of mine. Sometimes that's the reason I don't wear a sweater or a cardigan or a jacket or something. I'm like, I like the look of that, but I don't want the commitment of wearing the weight of it on my shoulders. I feel that way about a lot of things like handbags, boots. If it's too heavy, then it's not a pleasure to wear anymore.
I totally agree. You can just throw it in a bag and get on with your day.
Yes, and you forget you're even carrying it around or wearing it at all. So find your new uniform at jennykane.com.
Our Shandies get 15% off your first order when you use code DearShandy at checkout.
That's 15% off your first order at jennykayne.com. Promo code DearShandy. Let getting dressed be one less thing to worry about. What questions should one ask to figure out if their date is a match, and what questions should they not ask?
I don't believe in asking questions on first dates.
Okay.
I
don't believe in conversation.
I love this.
Love it.
So I actually have a 3-2-1 prep for you to do. So it's top of mind on dates.
I used to have a rule, actually. If a date asks me in the first 15 minutes what I do, 99% of the time I'm done.
Yeah. So I don't believe in asking questions on dates. Especially on first dates, I only believe in conversations. So you need to enter that date saying something about the neighborhood or the location or about the restaurant. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you picked this place. I went on the menu online. It looks divine. Or wow, I really love that we're at this neighborhood. I was here last week with a friend and we were going to this. Like pretend you're in the middle of a conversation with this person.
Yes.
But also prior to going to any date, any singles mix or any event, you're going to do Matchmaker Maria's 3, 2, 1 prep. Okay. So you're going to write this down. Like you're going to text it to yourself. You don't have to do pen and paper, but you got to text it to yourself because you have to write it down. So you're going to write down the 3 things that made you laugh or like gave you happy joy feelings in the last month. Right?
That's lovely.
It is lovely, right? So for me, for instance, my son, like one of the things I would write is like my son had a conversation with the Target employee on Valentine's Day. And he's like, who's your Valentine? And she's like, I don't have one. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, maybe you'll get one next year. My mom's a matchmaker.
Free marketing.
But like, it doesn't have to be that funny, but like something that gave you joy, just write it down. The next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna write 2 things that make you unique and valuable. So for instance, maybe you're like the oldest of 3, or maybe you collect backgammon boards, or maybe you try to go to like a live music show every single month. Like what makes you unique? For me personally, I think, and it's gonna sound really weird, but I feel like it's my one unique thing is like I read the Washington Post every single day. And I know that might not sound unique to you, but it's going to sound unique to someone. Yes. And that's who I'm looking for, is someone who's like a well-informed individual as my match. Right. I also collect Monopoly boards. So, I'm just trying to think of like things that are unique. I've spent all of my summers on a little island in Greece. So like something that's like unique to you. Maybe it's like, like whatever it is, it is. And then the number one thing you're going to write to yourself, and you have to write this to yourself at the end. So this is 3, 2, 1 prep. The number one is you're going to write to yourself, I'm going to this date, this venue, this mix, or whatever it is. I'm going to this date to have fun. So let's have fun. I will give whoever I meet grace.
Oh,
people go into dates with so many crazy expectations. Is this my boyfriend? Yeah. Is this my girlfriend?
My soulmate.
How are they going to treat the waiter? How much money are they going to spend on me? It's like, this person's off the internet. You're just meeting to make sure you vibe. Like chill out after that,
Yeah.
If you have these things in order, like in your mind, if you write them down an hour before you go on a date, you have things to conversate about. It's top of mind.
Yeah. And you don't need to talk about logistics, because the logistics will be fleshed out by just being happy and fun and just talking about anything. You'll figure out about them what you need to know, and they'll figure out about you what they need to know. And you'll figure out if what you are is what they want, which is one of the most important things to know, as opposed to saying, what do you do? Where do you live? What do you want to do in 10 years? Do you want kids? Do you want to get married? Like all this stuff is absolutely unimportant on a first date, or even
unimportant on a first date. But on a second date, I don't want you to ask these questions. I want you to talk about yourself, and hopefully they respond back. And I want you on your second date, and if it happens on the first date, that's even better. But I want you to talk about your friends, because I want you to learn if they have friends. Because if they don't have friends, or if they're not investing in their friendships, that's not a pink flag. That's a red flag. Right?
Yeah.
Friendships exist to help you with your emotional resilience. That's what you need in any thriving relationship. Right. The second thing I want you to learn is fantasy. So like one of my favorite questions to ask someone is, you get a scratch off ticket from your boss and you win, and it's $1 million after taxes. What are you going to do with the money? There's no wrong answer here, right? This is fantasy land, but you can learn a lot in how they answer that question. For instance, are they going to give a kickback to the boss or no? There's a conversation right there. Oh. Are they going to talk about their anxieties? Like, for instance, I'm the kind of person to be like, I'm going to pay off my student loans. That's it. That's what I'm paying off.
How responsible are you?
And whatever money's left, I'm going to make education trusts for my kids. Like, this is what causes me anxiety. I want to get rid of the anxiety. But then you have other people who would say stuff like, I'm going to invest it all in Tesla. Right? Great. I've just learned you have a way more flexible risk assessment than I do. Like I struggle with that in assessing risk. So that's excellent. That, like, you know, you see how I'm saying like that if you're going to ask a question, ask a fantasy question.
Yes.
Because then you can somehow learn about their values in that conversation.
Yeah, without directly asking, what are your values?
Yeah,
as if you're ever going to get a real answer from that question.
I'm family oriented. Okay.
Yeah.
I would do
Talk
would
about
you
show, don't
rather
tell.
questions.
Would you rather what? What would you do?
On first dates, I do
On a
would you
first
rather's.
date?
Yeah.
Okay,
Andy
give me
asks
one.
me, would you rather questions on a daily basis, and I hate them. They stress
Can you give me
out.
one?
I do would you rather's, and if you could, like, okay. So for example, like, would you take $1 million or never be allowed to eat any cheese for the rest of your life?
What kind of cheese?
Every cheese.
That's gonna be really tough.
That's hard.
I guess I'd pay $1 million so that I can eat cheese for the rest of my life.
Okay. Well, yeah.
But that wasn't the question, was it? I think I misunderstood.
No, you cannot use the $1 million to then pay for the right to eat cheese.
No, I would pick the cheese.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I know
There's
everything
no
I
way I
need
would
to know
ever-
about. I need everything I need to know about you right there.
Which is crazy because I feel like I've grown a lactose intolerance and I still think cheese is more important than $1 million.
That's how good
I
cheese is.
agree. I would also choose the cheese.
I mean, I know the answer. You have.
Yeah, cheese is too
Like
important.
I could go up to 100 million on you.
My
50
husband
million?
literally has a
20 million?
cheese TikTok, cheese Instagram and TikTok. Like he makes grilled cheese videos.
Really?
Follow him, Nerd Meats Food. Yes.
Okay, she can't quit cheese.
That would be so tough.
You touched on this in passing, the sort of how I'm really trying to make segues here. You know, the idea, like the thoughts you have on a first date, like how much money does he have to spend on me? I want to talk about paying on the first date. I'm sure you get this a lot.
I don't ever.
Really?
I've never gotten it. So this will be my first. I can't wait to hear it. Why are you so scared? Why are you so surprised?
Well, because I feel like this is something that is not really talked about, but most women, at least most women
I
in
feel
New
like
York
it's
City,
only talked about. I don't know if how much it's happening in real life.
of men paying for the first date or not paying for the first date, like the expectation on the
The
man.
conversation about who pays happens more than it's happening on dates.
Meaning what happens on dates?
Look, people aren't having the conversation on dates. What's happening is people are lingering too long and they're like, fine, I'll put plastic down, you know, but
Wait, I'm confused. So I guess what I'm wondering is, do you think that it's outdated to expect a man to pay for the first date?
it's such a tough question. Is it outdated?
I know.
Outdated to what?
No, I know.
Actually, I think men should always pay. Excuse my language. Is it okay that I curse?
No.
I will give you my thesis as to why I think men should always pay.
Okay.
And it's not even going to be like men get paid more than women, because that's actually not as true as you think it is. Women are outpacing men
Like
in
crazy.
education right now. And I have a feeling that 20 years from now, women will be out earning men as well. So, you know, I'm not saying that there's not obvious pay gaps between certain races and certain professions. Sure. But I don't think it's that. I think that the kind of man who wants to go 50-50 would never date a woman who is, let's say, 50-50. So let me hit back for a second. Okay. Let me just put a few ground rules here. Okay. I feel like if you're having a woman a bad time on a date and you can afford it, pay your half and leave.
I've done this.
We've discussed this.
There's nothing more empowering
Yes.
than getting to choose the narrative of how this date goes. Okay. However, if he pays and you don't want to go on a second date with him and he Venmo requests you your share, you are free to not only make fun of this man among your friends, but also block him.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree.
That
So,
lines up with our advice.
right. If you're going to a really expensive place, you can just throw it out there. You could say, hey, I looked at the menu. It looks really pricey. I just want to know, should I be bringing money with me or will you be taking care of dinner? Like, you can get ahead of certain conversations, right? No one ever does that though, because the kind of person who's that is not doing that. Right.
Agreed.
So now let's talk about the reality of what dating is. There are cultures where a man would never dream of a woman paying for her share of the date. Okay. I belong to one of those cultures. Greek men would rather die. Like, that's just not how it works. I'm sure it's similar across the Balkans. maybe Russia, Turkey, the Middle East. Like there is a whole cultural aspect of what dating is and how much it costs and the expectation from a man.
Yeah.
There are men who want you to always go 50-50 on dates. And their reason will be like, well, I thought we're a feminist. I thought you wanted equal rights. Great. Let's look at those men who talk like that. Let's look at the kind of women they want to date. Are they dating women who don't wear any makeup? Are they dating women who don't look incredibly nice compared to him on the date? Like there is an economies of dating, right? And even the men who say stuff like, I don't want to date a woman who's high maintenance, which means like they don't want to date someone who doesn't wear lashes. They think no makeup is actually light makeup. So there is a subset of men who believe in 50-50, who want to do that, but they don't have 50-50 criteria. They think they're okay with their speed stick. And I think it's also they think stuff like, I don't want to date a gold digger. Do you have gold to dig? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like no one's trying to dig your gold if you paid for the date.
Yeah.
Right. There are women who want to do 50-50. Great. Let the guy know ahead of time when you sit down before your date, like, hey, I'd love to split this. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Ask the question. Right. So I think that there's just like more conversation to be had here. But like, I really don't think, especially when, okay, I'm going to say my controversial opinion. I have a controversial opinion. I don't think women should ever ask men out on a second date unless it's happening during the first date. Like while the first date is happening, a woman could say, you know, some like there's a way to like kind of ask out a guy on a first date without asking him out, which is like, I'm having such a great time. And then they could say like, oh, me too. And it's like, you know, on my way here, kind of change the subject. You know, on my way here, I saw that there is like this cowboy karaoke bar down the street. Oh, really? Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool to go there sometime? So you kind of like ask them out on a second date during the first date, but like they have to agree. Like I'm cool with that. But the moment you depart on a first date, I really don't think, I don't care if a woman asks a man out on a first date, on a third date, on the 5th date, on the 10th date, on the 1000th date. I don't care. In my professional experience as a matchmaker, if a guy does not want to pick you, does not want to choose you, does not ask you out on a second date within 3 days, you are never marrying this person, or you should not marry that man.
I agree.
That was not a controversial
I don't even think that's
opinion.
controversial. I think it's only controversial because of the time we live in. That's 100% true.
I
The
completely
people
agree
that
with
disagree with me are single.
That's a good comeback.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I'm not even, look, I've had people disagree with me online. They're like, how dare you? Women can choose their own narrative. I agree with you. You should ask out. Every guy you meet, ask him out on a first date. He needs to pick you. He needs to choose you on a second date. I just had a conversation with a woman. She said, I met a guy at a, what do you call it? A speed dating event.
Yeah.
He didn't pick me. But then there was a little networking event afterwards, like a little cocktail party. And then that's when he got my number. And then we went on 2 dates and he was really shitty. And now I realize that he never really picked me. I was the consolation after he realized that nobody picked him.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, like I'm telling you, the guys that pick you, if a guy goes on a first date and he wants to go back out with you, not only you should immediately know he finds you really attractive, because no man has ever been on a second date with a woman that he was not attracted to, period. That's never happened. But also, you should know that if a guy's tripping over himself to go on a date with you, he likes you. If a guy is, I need to make sure people understand what I'm saying, because people are going to misunderstand what I'm saying. Okay. If a guy's texting you after a first date and he's not asking you out and it's been more than 3 days, that person is trying to groom you into a situationship. He wants you to have low stakes. He wants to have the high accessibility. He wants you to have low accountability of him, because where's the date?
Yeah.
What the hell? Where is it? And that's what I would do. If after 4 or 5 days have passed and he still hasn't asked you out, be like, hey, I'm really confused here. Are we going out on a second date?
Yeah.
Or are we going to keep texting? Call it out so he can leave you alone.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. I could not agree with all this more.
This is fact.
It's very satisfying. Okay.
The fact that a man is saying this is fact.
Well, okay, so I have a follow-up question, and this I feel like might turn into a tough truth. But
what has not been a tough truth so far?
Fair enough.
I have an intermediate question first.
Okay. All right.
Would you rather live the rest of your life 5 degrees too cold all the time, or your husband smells like Doritos for the rest of your life?
5 degrees too cold, for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah. Go ahead.
That would be good
That's
for your skin and aging and things.
I didn't mean to go that deep, but okay.
I need to give my face an ice bath. Go ahead. What's your question, Charlie?
Okay, so tough truth time. What if someone, the woman in this situation, we're talking about straight relationships. What if they never seem to get asked on that second date within 3 days?
You need to have a dating assessment with my team so we can discover what is going on under the hood. Are you choosing the wrong men? Mm-hmm. How did you meet this guy? What opportunities are you giving yourself? Why aren't you asking him out during the first date in the cool way that I just told you on this episode? You got to research, but you have to go into first dates prepared. I will also say, I think people have first dates really wrong. So let me expand on this for a second. Okay. Our parents, all three of us, they met in the third space. They met at church, at a family barbecue, at a cousin's wedding. They met somewhere in their community, in their vicinity, with people that were most likely homogeneous, even in core values, right? Like they were similar because they had a similar friend or similar community, right? They're these third spaces that they come out and exist. When I say third space, for anyone who doesn't know, that means beyond work and home, right? So it's an extra space. So online dating has removed the third space for a lot of people, right? Because now you're home, working from home. Maybe you go to work once a week or twice a week, like you go to that place. Maybe you go to the gym, still not considered third space. And then instead of dating through your friend group or through your community or through your church or through someone's wedding, you're going online. That's fine. So instead, let's fake the third space. Every time you want to go on a first date with someone, and I know women hate this, I don't care, but this literally works. I want all of your first dates to be walking dates. You've done it your way. Try it my way. I want for the next 90 days, all first dates to be walk dates that include a chai latte or a gelato.
Oh, what's wrong with that?
Oh, well, that's great.
There's a lot of women who want to be treated out. There's a lot of women who are like, I want to see how they treat the waiter. I appreciate that. The purpose of a first date, though, is not that. The purpose of the first date is to see if you vibe. The purpose of a first date is to go on a second date. That's it. So instead, make it a walking date. Okay. Go out, 20-minute walk. Do you vibe? Then you schedule your first date.
Yeah.
And he'll pick you. Right. No, but you have to get rid of the outcome. What's happening is we are going on these dating apps when Matchmaker Louie, he works with me. He's my work brother. I don't want to say work husband because we both have husbands. So he says that we have to stop calling dating apps and call them meetup apps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Meet up. Just see if you vibe. If you vibe, then you go on your date. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
I endorse everything that's been happening here out of your mouth. Even your answers to the 2 questions I asked were the correct answers.
Thank you. Thank you.
So speaking of controversial opinions, Shandy specifically requested that we ask you this question because apparently we have differing opinions on living together before an engagement or marriage. Right. So let's debate. Why do you believe that one should not? Is that what you believe?
Do you believe, before I get into this debate, which I'm more than happy to, do you believe that because you did it?
Well, yeah, I was about to. Okay, it's so funny you say that because as I was putting my questions together for this chat with you today, I was thinking about how often our opinions stem from what worked for us. And that can really lead to very heated debates online because, I mean, it happens to us all the time and I can tell it happens to you where if someone disagrees, it's like, well, it worked for me this way, so you don't know what you're talking about. 100% it worked for us.
All of my advice tends to come from a place of like, not necessarily personal experience, but professional experience.
Yeah.
And also
statistics.
like I'm a science based certified coach. Like I have my credentials here too. Like I'm looking at like studies.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of studies in long-term compatibility. And a lot of it does revolve around when people move in with each other. So the reason why I asked you this question, like I threw it back to be like, where does your opinion stem from? Just so I know, what gun are you drawing in this debate?
Well, of course, I mean, we did live together, but I mean, he did propose pretty fast.
No, but we lived together and it worked. But I also have lived together with other women, and that's what made me realize it wasn't going to work.
Yeah,
a few follow-up questions, because I'm so sorry. I don't watch reality TV.
You should apologize for that.
Yeah. I still need to know what gun is being drawn here, right? So you met how?
Oh, we didn't. Oh, that has nothing to do with reality TV. We actually met at an event that I was invited to.
Oh, did you think that I met her on TV?
But wait,
That's
hold on.
Hilarious.
No, I don't. I know you didn't meet on TV.
But understandable. No, I met her in a bar.
She was on TV.
She was on TV, but I didn't know she was on TV until
okay.
after
Because that
she told me
TV
not
program,
to Google her, and then I did.
I see. Okay. But that TV programming is wedding related.
Sort of, but
Wait, I'm not. What are you getting at?
Yeah, I'm curious.
What I'm
not
saying
following.
is that like your husband did not come into this date or your living situation without knowing what your future plans are.
No, I would not. I would
like
not.
you
give
were
it that.
aware that.
No.
That I was looking.
No.
That I was looking to get married.
No.
Yeah.
Oh
No.
No.
Well, here's the thing about The Bachelor.
Yeah. Since you don't, you are showing your true
I don't
colors.
know anything.
You do
I've
not
never
watch
watched The
reality
Bachelor.
TV.
No, I'm so sorry.
No, it's actually very sweet that you think that everyone
it's
goes
adorable.
on
It's
goes on
adorable.
The Bachelor to get
I know
married.
nothing. I just know roses, and I know The Bachelor has a ring in the logo. So why wouldn't I think that it's marriage related?
Those are the two things that don't mean anything.
Yeah. Okay, but I want to hear your take. I think it's super interesting.
Here's my take. Okay. If you are someone who wants to who envisions getting married and having children and you're in your 30s.
Yeah.
It's imperative for you not, it even shows you like statistically, it is imperative for you not to move in with that person until there's a ring on your finger, because there is a massive subset of men who will use moving in as like, well, we have to move in to see if we can get on. No, you don't actually need to move in to get on. You can actually have your own apartment, have your lease, and then go with your luggage, get your own little drawer and live with them for 2 months before deciding whatever test you need. Okay.
Oh, wait. Well, hold on a second. There's semantics here, because I'm totally okay with the concept of someone just sort of dropping some clothing in there and staying
having
6 days a week. That's totally the same to me as moving in.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
It's not actually, moving in.
Okay. So
so in that case, I was moved in here. I had a suitcase and a half because my stuff was all over in Germany.
That's not moved in. Moved in is when you don't have a place to go, when your relationship is shit. And now you have you have sunk cost fallacy. You've given in so much. My lease doesn't expire for 6 months. It's hard. It is so much harder to break a lease than to break an engagement.
I think
we agree then, because I never would encourage someone to take on that kind of liability of time and commitment
and money
to legally be moved in with someone. I would just say play the game. Just role play, living together for even 6 weeks, even a month.
I think even a month, dude. 2 weeks is enough actually. But like, it's true. Like I feel like, okay, so here's what the studies show. Okay, the studies show that if you wait to move in together until you're engaged or married, the probability of divorce is way lower. And that is because you know what the milestone is coming up, because you're going to get married, you have to learn how to compromise like really quick. And when you have to compromise, you have to communicate, you have to have really, hard conversations quicker. Whereas when you are living together before you're engaged, you are going to circumvent some tough conversations because you're not there yet. Right? We're just living together. We're just getting less rent. And it's harder even to add in 2 things here, right? I'll add another thing to this conversation. The divorce rate is lower if you wait until you are engaged or married to move in each other. Did you know the divorce rate is also lower if you have a shared checking account? Why is that? Because the couples that share their checking account have to have pretty active and, fairly ongoing conversations about finance, right? It's a lot to, have a merger and acquisition. In this case, your two businesses coming together and you have to CFO your relationship. But if you are able to have a high stress conversation like money on the regular, that means that you can have really high stress conversations about every other topic on the regular as well. And when you do that, it's a lot easier to tackle the kind of problems that do exist in any marriage, right? Because you have that social muscle and that emotional muscle to have those conversations with your spouse.
Yeah.
That makes total sense.
Totally agree.
And also the stakes are higher. You're forced to recognize that you're dealing with high stakes.
Yeah.
The amount of women that have reached out to me when I said, I think you should be engaged. You have to have a ring before you move in. And I've given women the template too. When a guy says, I want to move in, great. I would love to move in with you, but I've decided I'm not going to move in with a guy unless there's a ring on my finger. Like I will not move in with a guy unless I'm engaged. And then you just pause, let them work itself out. That's not your problem. If you're going to move in with someone, you need to treat things like mergers and acquisitions. And that is what it is. And you're going to have a lot of unromantic conversations. If you decide you don't want to have kids, or if that's not something that you envision yourself, then maybe you don't have to wait for a ring. Maybe you can, the time's not taken for someone who doesn't want to have kids, right? The last thing I want though is for a woman who's 34 years old, live with a man for 5 years. Now she's 39. I don't want to have kids. I don't want to get married. Like, what did we just do? And that happens
I think that's
a lot.
unethical on the man's
It is
part.
unethical, but it happens
a lot.
It's happening right now to someone that I know. And I'm like, girl, snap out of it. Like, get out. And I also want to add though, too, that like, just because of how your parents were married, and I'm not saying to you personally, I'm saying like just generally everyone, like there's ways to be married that like you can have separate bedrooms.
Oh,
you can have even people that maybe you're married with kids and you find another man who's married with kids. Maybe you buy a duplex. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a way to be together without being together. And I think that really holds people back sometimes. Like I grew up in a house where my parents have separate rooms. They have very different sleeping patterns. Yeah. And it's just how they made it work.
I think that's the ultimate in romance is when you can sleep separately.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And not care.
Yes.
Yeah. Whereas like my husband and I, we are like my husband likes to be I'm his big spoon essentially. So
that is super cute.
You didn't negotiate well.
I like it. I like it because I don't use a pillow in between my legs.
Oh, nice.
So I use his body instead. Do you know what I'm saying, Charlene? You know how like your pelvis hurts? So like,
yeah. Oh, I use many pillows. The pillows I sleep with are not just under my head, let me tell you.
This is a very cute image, imagining this spooning situation.
Okay.
So can we agree that 1 month just play living together is enough? But you agree that that's important? That
and like going to IKEA, I guess.
Okay.
I think add those two in there.
APOSTROPHE use apostrophe and C.
So apostrophe, Andy. Yeah. Look at your skin. Look at my skin. I feel weird being like, look at my skin, buy this. But seriously, apostrophe, you know what it is? It just makes it easier to get something I was already getting.
Yes.
Because with apostrophe, they connect you with board certified dermatologists. So in my case, I have been using prescription tretinoin for a very long time. But I used to have to physically go to the doctor or dermatologist to get a prescription and then physically go to the pharmacy to get said prescription with apostrophe. You fill out their online consultation where you describe your skin, you take selfies of your skin, and then a board certified dermatologist will review your information and then prescribe you something if they think you need it. Honestly, this has been a step up for me because I was just using prescription tretinoin before and now they put in 4% niacinamide and I am into it. My skin loves it.
You could really soup up your skincare regimen without having to go to the doctor.
Yes.
And for you know skin like nobody. I've never seen anyone who knows skin like you.
I spend a lot of time thinking about my skincare
The girl
regimen.
knows skin. But even you have upped your game with apostrophe.
Yes.
Because it makes the friction, it takes away the friction.
Yes.
It's like ice.
Ice.
Apostrophize. No, get rid of that. Get rid of that. It's not happening.
I'm not cutting that.
No, you're not. What is this?
And I mean, with prescription skincare, you can be treating things like fine lines, wrinkles, and acne. And what other acne other than facial acne, Andy, could one treat?
Chest knee, back knee, butt knee.
Very good. So we have a very special deal for our listeners, the Shandies. Right now, you can get your first visit with an apostrophe provider for only $5 when you go to apostrophe.com/Shandy and enter promo code Shandy. That is a savings of $15, and this offer is only available to our listeners.
To get started, just go to apostrophe.com/Shandy and click Get Started.
Then use our code Shandy at sign up, and you'll get your first visit for only $5. Basically, the price of a latte.
Where are you getting your cheap lattes?
Thank you, Apostrophe, for sponsoring this episode. Okay, Maria, I have one more for you. What are your thoughts on moving cities to increase the likelihood of meeting a compatible mate?
Moving cities.
Yeah, let's say you are not having luck in your current city. Is it crazy to consider moving cities?
It's crazy to move because whatever you were doing in that city, you're going to probably do in that other city.
Ooh.
And that city's just not going to work for you anyway. No city has like the secret in men. What you need to do is increase your third spaces. What you need to do is increase your opportunities. And the way to do that is to increase your radius and also get rid of your no-no list. So if you're the kind of person who's like, he has to be this religion, or I would only date someone 5 years older than me. I would never date someone, 10 years older than me. You know what? Make your age range plus 12. See what happens. Maybe you end up dating someone who's plus 8 or minus 8, whatever it is. Like, just increase the age ranges, see what happens. You'd be surprised because let me tell you, if you met that person at your friend's wedding, and you vibed, you would not give a shit about how old they are.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but let's compare a city like New York City to a city like Seattle, where I feel like there's an obvious shift in men versus women having an advantage.
There absolutely is. It's so funny. I was actually interviewed by CNN about this in 2010.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was because I was like, if you go to Seattle, the straight men are like really hot compared to their, I'm not saying that Seattle women are ugly, so misunderstand me, but Seattle men take care of themselves. And that is because when there are more men than women in a space, men become competitive over romance. So you'll actually see this, Caltech and MIT, they have more men enrolled than women. And what happens is a lot of the women get into relationships with their classmates freshman year, and they're in these long-term relationships. So men are like overtly competitive in these small spaces, where if you have a city with more women than men treat it like harem, like, oh, it's hookup culture. And that's actually what's happening in a lot of college. Yeah, master roster. And it's actually happening in a lot of most colleges in this country there are way more women than men currently enrolled. So as a result, hookup culture is exponentially high than it ever has been before. So in a city like Seattle, where there are more straight men than women, men take care of themselves. A lot of them own cars. Like, they're doing things to look like a prize.
Yeah.
And then you go to cities like New York City, Miami, LA, where there are more women than men. And especially in New York, the women here in New York City are way hotter than their straight male counterparts. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like not even fair.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So do you understand what I'm saying though? Like, so I don't think you should move, but I do believe in importing. I lived in New York, and I remember the strategy that I did to be my husband is I thought about the kind of man I wanted. And then I thought, who would be friends with this man that I'm envisioning? And I thought about it for 5 minutes, and I came up with 2 men. And I told those 2 men, hey, next time you're out with friends, can you invite me? Mm-hmm. And a week later, one of them did invite me. He happened to be in Boston. He said, I'm going to be in Boston. Tomorrow we're all going out for drinks. I didn't say to this man, hey, I said New York. No, he did his end of the bargain. He did his homework. I got myself on an Amtrak and I went up to Boston, and I would meet 9 of his friends that night. 5 of them were in relationships, but 4 of them were single. And one of them would end up being George, who's my husband. And I didn't know he'd be my husband that night, but we vibed. We went on a date the next day. We went on a walking date the next day. And we vibed, and that, I think that's really important. And I had opportunities, and guess what? I ended up importing him down. And I think that you don't have to move, but you can, in New York, I have women who tell me that I wouldn't date above a certain street. Or I'll say, hey, I have a man and he lives in Morristown. Would you take an Uber to Morristown? No, he needs to come to me. Okay, he could come to you. I'm just asking for a second date. Would you go to Morristown?
Yeah.
Like either you want to date, if you either want to date someone and and be serious, or you don't.
What do you tell someone, and we've had people write in for Q&As on this, what do you tell someone who lives in a tiny, tiny, tiny town?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those people, I would start investing in your closest city's events. Maybe join a class, maybe join a social club, Toastmasters. Do something that takes you to that close city every week for the next 6 weeks.
Okay.
Good advice.
Love that.
Maybe
advice.
you book a hotel that night using Hotel Tonight, you get a good deal. Maybe that night you also go out for drinks, try to do a local bar every night. Like, find a way to get yourself into your closest city, even if it's 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Just do that one night a week for the next 6 weeks. See what you're going to have a different social circle.
I love this advice.
Yeah, that's great.
Matchmaker Maria, as usual. I mean, we always go over time. There's always so much to talk to you about. I love your strong opinions and your no BS everything. Just thank you so much for joining us for part 2.
Yeah,
that was
great.
wonderful.
Thank you for having me. I'm sure there will be a part 3 in about a year again.
Yeah.
Well, when's your book coming out?
Yeah.
I think it's coming out in spring 2025. So
Okay.
Perfect.
we'll figure it out. You'll be on the first on the list. I love
Fantastic.
talking. I love talking to both of you. You're a lot of fun.
Thank you so
Likewise.
much. Thank you
so much.
We'll set you free. Have a great night. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a
Okay.
good night.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Oh man. Oh, that was so intense. It's always really intense talking to her because she's so she's quick, right?
Yeah.
Like it keeps moving. And then I have to I don't want to interrupt her, obviously, because that's like podcasting 101. But I'm like, oh, I want to bring that up. I want to bring that up. I want to bring that up.
She's harder to interrupt than most guests.
No, but we should not interrupt.
No,
our
she's
guests.
good.
Yeah.
She has a thing to say and she finishes
Yeah.
it.
As usual, we got through about half our
Aw.
questions.
Was there any real zingers you missed?
I mean, I made an effort to prioritize the zingers. That's why I snuck in the moving one at the end. I thought she was going to be more open to moving. I mean, she's got a point. Moving is crazy. But I feel like if you already had a curiosity, let's say you live in New York City and you already had a curiosity about a city like Seattle, where there is that, suddenly the power dynamic completely shifts. Let's say you already had an interest in that. You want to be somewhere where you're outdoors more. Maybe you haven't really found your friend circle here and there's a job opportunity and then that's like a perk. I think 100% you should do it. Obviously, I know I'm stacking a lot of reasons on top of each other, but I feel like that's not a reason to add to your list of reasons to move.
You know what? I just defer to Maria.
She's got a point though. There's something to be said about we have a single friend who will go unnamed, but who moved from one major city to another major city and encountered all the exact same issues that they experienced in the first city. And so there's something to be said about maybe doing a little work,
well, what are you running
on
from?
yourself.
Are
Yeah.
you running from yourself?
Yeah. And maybe you're the common
You're
denominator.
going to find yourself in every city.
I love her idea of importing.
Yeah.
That was cute.
If you can do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
And getting, it takes effort. That's the thing. Her talking about going to the closest major city once a week to do an event or a meetup or something. That takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes people sort of expect it to fall in their laps in a sort of storybook kind of way that frankly it doesn't.
But if you are in a situation where that effort is required, is it worth it to you? It should be.
I mean, it depends what you're looking for. Yeah.
If it is.
Yeah. Okay, so let's quickly touch about the living together. You know what I realized that we've apparently there was a semantics thing in there that we just totally agree.
Oh, we totally agree. I never suggested take all your roots and put them in this guy's apartment and have no exit plan and that's it. No, I was just thinking
you have to try living under the same roof a little.
Or just
in my
stay
opinion.
over for 3 weeks in a row every night.
But that's what we did. I mean, literally,
we
I
did.
had a suitcase and a half of stuff here, and my apartment was still in Germany. So technically, by her definition, we did not live together before you proposed.
But yes, 100%.
In fact, we didn't live together until you and I were already married for 6 months.
Yes, and we should make sure all our Shandies know that. Because the issue here is not legally living together. The issue is cohabiting together for a short period of time. And as she said, what did she say? 3 days? I kind of agree with her.
No, she said 2 weeks, you'll know.
yeah, whatever. She made a joke at the end, but it's not a joke.
Yeah.
Like it may take as little as 3 days
To know.
to know.
Yeah.
Honestly, like after a couple of days living with you, I was like, this is fine. I have no issue.
This is very like Sex and the City right now, but there's something to be said about having your own place.
But the extrication cost to extract yourself from the situation of living with someone can make you passive about getting out of the relationship.
Yeah.
So you can be like, I really want to break up with this guy, but I got to move and find a new place. And I'll just stick it out. Maybe we'll work it out. I think it'll work out. And then you're stuck.
Yeah.
That's it. So I 100% agree. I want to make sure that it's very clear what we're talking about.
I agree in a self-preservation way. Like I think that is the most surefire way to preserve yourself and not suddenly lose 5 years like poof because a guy was willing to move in with you but not put a ring on it. But for me, I still struggle with the to talk about semantics. Like I don't feel like when I was dating you, I was dating to marry. In fact, when you proposed, certainly as early as you did, I was sort of like shocked. But we were so in love. I was like, yes.
Shocked with joy.
Yeah, shocked with joy. But in today's dating climate, you almost need to be that intentional, like that I'm dating to marry.
Sure.
Because it's just situationshipville out there.
I agree. I don't care what the situation is. I think that if you don't spend a good chunk of days living, day
and traveling.
and night,
I also believe in traveling together.
Traveling together, living together for at least a bunch of days in a row with no break.
Yeah.
Because when you take a break, you get to refresh, you get to recharge. Like, oh, okay, I can go another few days now.
Yeah.
No, you got to go straight for a while, and that's it. You don't have to sign a lease. You don't have to leave your apartment. You don't have to uproot yourself. Just give it a shot. Role play. That's it.
I think we agree in a middle ground. Okay. I do think, I just having lived with other guys and you've lived with other girls, like that was the thing.
That was the thing.
That was the thing that was like, oh, this isn't right. Yeah. And we ended up being right because we stuck it out.
And if I was really honest with myself, truly honest, I don't think I needed more than 2 to 3 weeks of living together with those people to know that it was wrong.
Oh, really?
And vice versa, to know with you. Honestly, after a few days, I knew 100%. I was like, this is easy.
Oh.
I can do this. And you were, it was a little bit messy here too. And you know me with the mess.
I don't know why that was necessary. I was so romantic up until then.
Sorry. Okay, take 2. And there was not a single issue.
Yeah, not a single issue. Okay, any other talking points that you want to cover before we wrap this?
I could not agree more with the conversation on the first date. Just talk. Take it easy.
And it could be about stupid stuff. That's the thing. Could not agree with. This is my biggest issue when we recap The Bachelor. I'm always like, no one talks like this. No one's sitting there saying what they're looking for in a relationship. Yeah. And like, no one does that. That's not a real conversation.
No.
That's why, like, when I think back to the date I had on The Bachelor, it's so funny, her thoughts on The Bachelor. Isn't that so funny?
Oh, yeah.
To think that you would have thought that because I was on The Bachelor.
Husband hunting.
Yeah.
It's about the opposite.
The context, the subtext of that.
Like, I'm going to save you. Like she failed on TV to find a husband.
Oh, it's so funny to think about. You know, that choice I made all those years ago was both the best choice I ever made and in some ways, like, it will never stop haunting me.
Yeah.
You know, the association. But I remember going on my dates on that show and just loving having an activity. Because then you could point out things and just walk, like she said, walk together.
And see how each other operate in the real world.
Yes.
Not in this interview setting.
Yes.
And you know, it's interesting because a lot of people, I think, have the misconception that a matchmaker is really like, it's like sit down, figure out what they want. Do they want 2 kids, 3 kids, 4.5 kids? When do they want to get married? Where do they want to live? But that's not what she's talking about. She's the opposite. She's actually saying, have fun with each other. You know, really find your friends.
Yeah, but she's also doing a bit of the former as well.
Yeah, but she gets that out of the way on paper first. She gets the intake, and then she puts them together in a setting where they can actually like each other.
It was funny hearing her talk about the 43-year-old guy when she said, do you want kids? And he was like, oh, maybe. I'm a maybe, like if she wants them. And she's like, what? Because I feel like that's, if there's a single 43-year-old man in New York City, that's exactly probably where he stands.
Oh, yeah. That's standard.
if he's still single at 43 usually.
That's one of the reasons.
Yeah. What was the controversial? Oh, yeah, the one about paying. Oh, not paying. The one about the second date.
Second date, yeah.
I completely agree with
100%.
her on that.
You can say what you want about the way it should be, but this is the way it is.
Well, I think that it's really hard today in dating, especially in a major city like New York, to be pursued. We've talked about this at length, especially with swipe culture. Like, there's no risk on the guy's part anymore by the time you get to that first date. I think it is, I would want the guy that I'm going to end up with to have that little bit of
Initiative.
Desire. Thank you. Yeah. That he can ask, he feels good enough about our date.
It's the bare minimum.
Yeah. And that he read the room and felt that I would say yes. It is the bare minimum.
Yeah. And if you have a fetish for super passive guys, you should rethink your priorities because that's not going to work.
I feel like if you have a fetish for super passive guys, you're doing very well in today's dating climate.
Oh my God, that's true.
Depressing.
That's so sad.
Okay, well, we'll wrap on that dark note.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram, and
TikTok.
Leave us Apple and
Spotify
podcast ratings and reviews. Tell your friends, and generally do all the things you would do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.